Novak Djokovic's visa fight will return to court as his legal team appeals the government's decision to deny him entry for a second time. The tennis star will be interviewed by government officials at 8 o'clock this morning before returning to detention around 10 a.m. His lawyers appeared at the Federal Circuit Court last night seeking a hearing to reverse the decision made by the Immigration Minister, and they argue Australian officials relied on the world number one's anti-vax sentiments to cancel his visa. The hasty called late last night hearing finished just after 11 p.m. and Djokovic will face an online hearing this morning to determine the issues before tomorrow's main event. The same judge who oversaw Djokovic's first appeal, Judge Anthony Kelly, will preside over the case.
It was clear, in my view, having watched the last proceeding, it was clear that Judge Kelly was unimpressed with the federal government's conduct and that he was more inclined towards Djokovic's legal arguments. And that's obviously why the federal government capitulated on Monday as they did. So if you're Djokovic's team, you want to get back before that judge.
Djokovic cannot be removed from Australia while the legal action is taking place. The move has cast serious doubt over whether he'll be able to play in the Australian Open due to begin this week.
Just 2 days out from the Australian Open, Novak Djokovic was up early for training. But by late afternoon, his hopes of winning a 10th title had crumbled. The Immigration Minister confirmed he'd cancelled Novak's visa for a second time. After 5 days of deliberation, Alex Hawke released this statement. I exercised my power under Section 133C3 of the Migration Act to cancel the visa held by Mr Novak Djokovic on health and good order grounds, on the basis that it was in the public interest to do so. This decision followed orders by the Federal Circuit and Family Court on January 10, quashing a prior cancellation decision on procedural fairness grounds. In making this decision, I carefully considered information provided to me by the Department of Home Affairs, the Australian Border Force and Mr Djokovic. The Morrison government is firmly committed to protecting Australia's borders, particularly in relation to the COVID pandemic. I thank the officers of the Department of Home Affairs and the Australian Border Force who work every day to serve Australia's interests in increasingly challenging operational environments. The Prime Minister later noting Australians have made many sacrifices during this pandemic and they rightly expect the result of those sacrifices to be protected. The news sparked mixed reactions on the streets of Melbourne.
I think it's a wrong decision, and I think it's like a circus now. I think it puts Australia in a very bad footing with the sporting world, especially tennis.
I think it was the right decision. I think it's fair. Everyone that has to get into the tennis needs a vaccination. We need to present our vax when we walk in. We need to wear our mask. We need to check in.
At the end of the day, it's a sad thing, but we have to think about the community and keeping the rest of Australia safe, I guess.
I think given the amount of people who haven't been able to get back into the country with harder circumstances, I think it's the right thing to do.
The decision came after days of delay.
There are so many areas whereby the Morrison government's character shows out, that it always responds too little and too late, that it never actually envisages a problem that's coming down the track, doesn't act until a problem becomes a crisis. Novak Djokovic and his participation in the Australian Open has been the #1 sports story in the world for months.
The Djokovic saga dragging on for another day as the rest of the world watches on. Julia Bradley, Sky News, Melbourne.